This is Stijn
Hi.
and Maarten, and this is the start of our documentary about the Kilmainham jail and the troubles. We're at the Kilmainham jail in Ireland at the moment, and we're going in right now. So, yeah.
Bye.
Kilmainham jail. This is what it's all about. And this cell is horrifying. You would not be wanting to sit here or have to go here, because the living conditions were not good at all. The worst thing of all was, of course, the central heating back in the time. There was almost no central heating, except a very small pipe that ran throughout the building that maybe caused a little bit of rise in temperature. The thing is, the walls that are made in Kilmainham jail do not contain any heat. So these small pipes to make sure the temperature rises don't even work. And to make the situation even more, imagine you sitting there in the winter with heating that doesn't work and walls that are ice cold, surrounded by those walls. I have one question: how would you feel? Thousands of people have died because of multiple reasons, and the guards didn't even care about it. They couldn't care less, and there were so many reasons why people died. Starvation, people went so crazy, they wanted to get hung, so they let the guards hang them because they freeze to death even. That's how cold it was. And another thing is, the light that came into the cells is a very important aspect. Namely, the guards would want to make, as you can see there, the floor with holes in it, so that the light can come through all the floors to every cell. So as you can imagine, there is not very much light, and the guards decided where the light came from and from what angle, because they thought it was God's gift, and the prisoners were prisoned, so they weren't allowed to decide God's gift. Another very smart thing from the guards was they made the paths that the prisoners were able to walk very small, so they wouldn't be able to start a riot or talk with each other. Also, if there would be anyone who would start a riot, he was immediately hanged in the place where everyone ate together. If you would see someone hanging on a rope for a whole day, I would be freaked out as well, so they wouldn't even think about trying to make a plan. As well as when you were hung, the brains would work for 4 to 7 minutes, so you could still think, and you would just have a horrible death, and nobody wants that, of course. So this is very smartly done, and there wouldn't be any riots very often. now we're going to enter the new part of the Kilmainham jail. As you can see, this is huge. And the first thing that may pop up in your head is that the paths that were able to be walked by the prisoners are tied and are not made for 2 prisoners at a time. So again, what I explained earlier, they have to be walking one by one, so they couldn't make any riots, because if they would want to talk to each other, they have to turn their heads, and of course the guards would have seen that. Another thing that you may have noticed is that the whole place here is round. That has a very specific reason, namely, if someone would want to make contact with other prisoners, for example talk or tick on pipes, the guards would hear it, and that's just because the sound will echo because it is round. So now this won't be able for the prisoners, and it will be very hard to make contact with each other, because every sound, every little tick that you make will be heard. And we tried it as well, and of course it did work. When you tick on an iron pipe here, it will sound throughout the whole prison. So this was very smart of the guards. Also, the heating system was better here. It was a bit warmer here, and as well, of course, the 45-degree angle where the light would come through. If you look up, you can see the light coming through the window. And in the prison, in the cells itself, it was a 45 degrees angle. This was, of course, because the guards decided at what angle the light would come in. One of the most famous prisoners that were in Kilmainham jail were Patrick Pearse and Willie Pearse. Of course, Patrick Pearse and Willie Pearse were brothers, but the most important one was Patrick Pearse, who was actually a member of the IRA. This was an organization who was against the British, and they did bombardments, they did terrorist attacks, they did all kinds of things. And Patrick Pearse was seen as one of the main leaders of the IRA. That's why he was put in Kilmainham jail together with his brother Willie Pearse. While Willie Pearse didn't even have anything to do with his brother. He didn't even know his brother was in the IRA, and also the IRB, which was an Irish Republican Brotherhood, an organization also dedicated to the overthrow of British rule, of course, in Ireland. When Willie Pearse was found to be his brother, he was executed without any further discussion in court or anything. He didn't have anything to say about it. He was just executed right away, which is just horrible. I mean, he had nothing to do with the whole Easter Rising and the Troubles, nothing. And still, just because he was the brother of, he was hanged.